GOG is changing ownership, and this matters more than it sounds. When GOG sends a legal email, most people scroll straight to the bottom and click accept. But this time, buried inside the updated terms of service, there's a quiet but important shift that deserves attention. GOG is no longer part of the CD Projekt Capital Group, and for a platform that built its entire identity on trust, ownership matters. On paper, the email is calm, polite, and purely informational. Updated user agreements, updated privacy policies, updated legal language. Nothing dramatic, but the reason behind those updates tells a much bigger story about where GOG is heading and what kind of company it wants to be in the future. What actually changed? First, remember this. This is not a marketing email. GOG is legally required to notify every user. The new terms go live on March 9, 2026, and the headline change is simple but massive. All references to GOG being affiliated with CD Projekt have been removed. That's not a wording tweak, that's a structural shift. GOG has officially stepped outside the CD Projekt ecosystem. Alongside that, the updated terms reflect new GOG initiatives like Breamlist and BGOG patrons, updated accessibility requirements to comply with the European Accessibility Act, the removal of outdated references like the EU ODR platform, clearer explanations of user rights and platform rights, more transparency around data processing and third-party partners, and updated dispute resolution rules, especially for US users. Legally, this is all clean, modern, and expected. Strategically, this is where things get interesting. Why GOG leaving CD Projekt is a big deal. For years, GOG benefited from something extremely rare in digital storefronts. Borrowed trust being part of CD Projekt gave GOG credibility by default. The Witcher, Cyberpunk, a company publicly associated with gamers' first values. BGOG was the DRM-free store, the preservation-focused platform, the anti-corporate storefront. Now that umbrella is gone. This doesn't automatically mean something bad is coming, but it does mean GOG now stands entirely on its own decisions, priorities, and leadership, and that raises real questions. Independence, opportunity, or risk? But on the optimistic side, independence gives GOG flexibility. No parent company pressure, no obligation to align with CD Projekt's broader business strategy, more room to double down on niche initiatives like classic game preservation, DRM-free releases, and community-driven features. Programs like BGOG Dreamlist and BGOG Patrons point toward a more community-funded, creator-supportive ecosystem. That's interesting and potentially powerful. But independence also removes a safety net. Running a digital storefront in 2026 is brutal. Steam dominates, Epic throws money, subscriptions reshape buying habits. Without CD Projekt behind it, GOG has to justify its existence every single year, and that pressure can change priorities fast. The quiet anxiety behind the legal language, if you read between the lines, the updated terms also feel more defensive than usual, more clarity on content ownership, more explanation of when terms can change, more transparency around partners and data handling. None of this is alarming on its own. In fact, it's good practice. But historically, when platforms start tightening language, it's often because they expect scrutiny, either from regulators, investors, or future partners. This feels less like a we're growing update and more like a we're preparing update, preparing for what exactly, we don't know yet. What this means for players, short term, almost nothing changes. Your games are still there, your DRM-free downloads still exist, GOG Galaxy still works. Your library isn't going anywhere, but long term, this shift defines what GOG becomes. Does it remain a preservation-first platform? Does it lean harder into subscriptions or curated funding models? Does it stay stubbornly anti-DRM in an industry moving the opposite direction? Those answers won't come from legal emails. They'll come from business decisions over the next 2 years. Final thoughts. This update isn't dramatic, it isn't scandalous, it isn't even controversial, but it is important. GOG is entering a new phase of its life without the CD Projekt name attached to it. That's both freeing and dangerous for players who care about ownership, preservation, and consumer-friendly platforms. This is something to watch closely, because GOG has always claimed to be different. Now it has to prove it on its own. And now I will read the mail that it have come to us. Hello, GOG user. We are reaching out to you to let you know that we are updating our user agreement, privacy policy, GOG Galaxy license agreement, and other terms that govern our relationship with you. The new terms will apply from March 9, 2026. Please read below to learn what changes we are introducing. If you are unsubscribed from marketing emails, please mind that this is not one of those. It is our legal requirement to inform every GOG user of the changes to our terms. Why? It's been some time since we last updated our terms of service. GOG is evolving, and so are our surroundings, like technology and legal regulations we need to mind. The changes we made are aimed at reflecting GOG leaving CD Projekt Capital Group, adding mentions of GOG's initiatives such as Dreamlist and GOG patrons, meeting accessibility requirements, and deleting mentions of EU ODR platform, as well as updating our terms language so that it is up to date, easier to understand, and better aligned between different GOG terms. What did we change? Here's a summary of the main changes. 1. We've deleted from our terms mentions of GOG being an affiliate of CD Projekt that were present in the terms previously because GOG was part of CD Projekt Capital Group, which is no longer a case. 2. We've updated the user agreement to delete mentions of EU ODR platform, which was closed, and to add mentions about accessibility to meet the European Accessibility Act requirements, better inform you about current GOG services, better inform you about other terms that apply to your use of GOG services, make it clearer what rights you and GOG have in relation to GOG content and user content, as well as better explain when we can change our terms. 3. We've updated privacy policy to better explain why and how your personal data is processed, provide more transparency around our partners and service providers, better explain your rights and how you can exercise them, as well as refine its structure to support readability. 4. We've updated GOG Galaxy license agreement to delete mentions of GOG being part of CD Projekt Capital Group and to update provisions on dispute resolution for US residents.